Hi, this is Scouter Peter. In the weeks previous to the March break at the meetings, we started two projects that would be good to follow up if the Scouts have any spare time during this week. They're both projects that can be followed up at home. First one that we're going to deal with in this video is preparing the hiking stick. We'll be having the Scouts bring their hiking sticks back to meetings after the March break and be doing more work on it there. But the first step involves taking the hiking stick and removing the bark from it and all of the knots that they might want to get rid of to make it smoother. All right, and there are several ways that they can do that. One would be by just using a knife, taking the knife and carving it this way. It's a long process. Takes a lot of work, and it will give a nice finish on it. It's especially useful at the two ends of it, where other methods are a little more difficult. Using a folding knife is a very slow process, and it doesn't do a very good job on the knots. It's very hard to get some of these knots, like this one here, off with just a folding knife. A larger knife or a small hatchet that's very sharp will do the job better. You put it on a stump and do some hacking with it on it. So put it down here. You can use the axe to clear the worst of the knots away. However, it's very important that the hatchet be nice and sharp, or else all you're going to do is make big gouges in the stick. In addition to a hatchet, a larger knife will do the same thing. So again, down here, and it will do the same thing. However, the easiest way to do it is by using something called a draw knife. A draw knife is a very sharp, handy tool. It's very safe to use if it's done the right way. If you're worried about safety, one thing that you can always do is to use it with gloves on, and that'll make it a lot more safe. If you find a comfortable chair, and you sit on the chair with on top of the hiking stick, then you can use the weight of your own body to keep the stick in place while you are carving towards yourself. If you find a knot, and you can attack that knot quite well with the draw stick, or the draw knife rather. And it takes a lot of the bark off very quickly, a lot more quickly than with either the knife or the hatchet. The easiest way to use the draw knife is to sit on the log or sit on the staff, so that your one leg is holding it in place. Spread your feet apart and then bring the knife towards you, taking off the bark from one side, and then turn it over and do it on the other side. At this point, if you've taken off most of the big knots with a sharp hatchet, then this should be a lot easier. If some of the knots are too difficult to take off, maybe just leave them on, because they might add a little bit of character to your staff after it's done. Turn it around. And work on the other side. Once you get all the bark off, it's not going to be perfectly done, but it will be ready for sanding. Shorter strokes are a lot safer. And you can turn it around and push with it if you have some particular places that need you to do that. Once you have most of the bark off, you can see you're still going to have some places where there's inner bark. So, for example, right here, top, you can see there's some bark. You want to take your knife and you want to get rid of that inner bark. You take your knife and you want to get rid of that inner bark so that it's just the main wood. So you can see the inner bark's a slightly darker color than the rest of it. There's some more here. This is kind of fine work to do with a hatchet, so you're better off using a knife or a draw knife, and the sharper the better. Okay, so that looks good there. There's some there, and some here. Just little stretches where you can see that the dark inner bark is still there. You haven't gotten right down to the wood yet. Let's check the other side. And this looks pretty good. So now we're at the sanding stage.